hurt so deep. Love listens on the night when you can't get to sleep. Love listens to the cry that comes from the heart. Lord, how do you even start again? How do you even start again? Love listens to the children who have no home. Love listens to the two who are now alone. Love listens to the one who has no job. Lord, how do you start again? How do you start again? There is a hope beyond your face. There is a peace beyond your tears. There is a dream bigger than all you can think. 'Cause love listens. Love listens. He feels your pain. He'll wipe away your tears. He'll calm your fears. 'Cause love listens. Love listens. He hears your prayer. He's always there. Just call his name. Just call his name.
All right. All right. Love listens. Just call his name or just call his nature. And his nature is not in you, but love's nature is you. Welcome this morning, this afternoon, or this evening, wherever time you might be viewing this workbook lesson from A Course in Miracles, number 103. My name is Oliver Blue, and I am delighted to be here as your temporary guide on this side. And I really, really love that introductory song that has been sung by Donald Timberlake off of the soundtrack CD, A Tribute to the General, that is produced by Heaven's Bread Production. love the song. Love listen. Love does listen. And love shares. When we just called on its nature, which is our very own nature. I'm delighted this morning because all is well. I am delighted this morning. I'm happy this morning because there is an assurance, there is a certainty that we all can rest in. There is a well-known scripture in the Bible, in the book of Hebrews, that says, there is a rest for the people. There is a rest for the people of God, and that we should labor to enter into that rest. And when it talks about the people of God, it's basically talking about all humanity. None is excluded, because love has forgotten no one. So there's a rest for humanity. And it says that we should labor to enter in. That word labor, when we hear that word labor, we think of work, hard work. But the work that we're talking about isn't finished work. The work we're talking about is an effortless work. The work we're talking about, for the most part, is just a welcoming or an acceptance of what is. We've all heard the statement, it is what it is, and that is true. And what it is God, or what it is love. Love is, God is. And that is all encompassing. God is, and there's really nothing else. But all the seeming other else's, or all the seeming other things that can be experienced, all the content of our experience, our activities, all of the experience that we can have as a human in terms of being aware of a body, and all the sensations and the emotions and the psychological, physiological experiences that we can have. That's not happening outside of love. Love provides the resource, or the source by which what experience can take place. And it's our eternal conscious awareness of not only the content of the activity, but the mere fact that we are always present and aware as the observer of the activity. And we can, by our own free will, choose to participate in the activity, as well as stand apart and be the master observer. That's amazing. We can watch ourselves. We can observe ourselves. We can be aware that we are aware of ourselves. That is of the God class. That is of the class of love. That just only happens within the realm of love. And so this morning, as we begin to go deeper into our studies, go deeper into our lessons, go deeper into this our purpose of renewing our minds, being transformed from the conditionings of the world, being transformed from all falsity and all illusions, allowing all of that stuff to be just what it is, experiences. And the content of most of our experiences does not reflect back to us reality, and definitely it doesn't reflect back to us our identity. The content of our experiences and activities is not who we are. It's just content. It's just experience. But what is changeless is our awareness. What is changeless is the fact that we're conscious of it all. And that consciousness never changes. That consciousness is infinite. That awareness is infinite. The same awareness you had when you were 5 years old. Changeless, timeless, formless is the same awareness that you have right now at your age 20 or 40 or 60 or 80. That awareness remains the same. It's always been there. And it's not something that you are aware of. It is what you are in your essential nature. We are awareness itself. That's why we can know ourselves. We don't need any activity or experience or events to know ourselves. Awareness is the only thing that can know itself. A knife doesn't know itself. A knife can't cut itself. The sun don't know itself or can't shine on itself. But who we are as this one self, this one shared self that the Creator created, which is Himself, is the only thing that can know itself. Awareness is aware of being aware. Consciousness is aware of being conscious. There is one thing that you are absolutely sure of this morning. There's one thing that all of us are absolutely sure of this morning. And that is that we do exist, that we are aware, that we are conscious. Why? Because we know ourselves even before there was any content, any experience, any events. Why? Because we're timeless and we're formless. Hey, I just started off going beyond the natural already. Yes, I love teaching metaphysically. Why? Because my big brother, Jesus, demonstrated that is the level of thinking that we should engage in. He called it the mind of Christ. He said, "Let this mind be in you that was also in me," which was equal with God. So we haven't become anything. We've always been every thought of God. And we remain every thought of God in this present moment. You and I, that's what in our reality, we are every thought of God. We are a God idea. And we tried to make it a man idea. Jesus used several parables in his teaching when he said that the owner of a kingdom or the owner of a land, he hired some servants to take to manage things, and he went off onto a far country. He went off but he left managers to manage his possessions. And what happened was the managers said, "Hey, when the cat's away, then mouse will play." And they tried to make something else out of the owner's possessions instead of managing what was already in place. And that's kind of what happened with us when we went prodigal. God created us like Himself. And at some point we said, hey man, we can do this ourselves. We can make something better than God can. And we begin to dream up. We begin to imagine being different, separate, going our own way, doing our own thing. And God let us do it. Why? He can't stop Himself. That's why. He always seen us, and He continues to see us as He created us, as one with Him, sharing the same oneself. So it was almost like a coup. But in God's perfect love, there can be no coup. There's no space for a coup to happen. So we could only make up a movie, or fall asleep in a dream, or sit and imagine what it would be like, or fantasize. And in all of that, those are experiences that we have as humans. They're not real, but they're just experience, because they don't change anything. and certainly it doesn't change us. That's why you'll see as we go through these workbook lessons that Course in Miracles says what? He said, we remain as God created us, regardless of what we've experienced or the content of our experience. And so if you're here for the first time, we're happy you're here. If you're here for the 103rd time, we're excited that you have remained with us. And what we do here is provide these advanced teachings sponsored by Truly Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization that we're devoted and dedicated to teaching these advanced teachings for the purpose of providing all humanity with tools to help them to advance, to grow, and to expand in their in the knowing of their self. And so we're here, and we're not going anywhere, because we love being here. We love that you're here with us. From time to time, we like to go back and read the introduction to the book, A Course in Miracles. And if you're not familiar with the book, this is what it looks like. Course in Miracles. This is what we call the blue book, because there's a purple book out there too, but we use the blue book. And if you'd like to purchase it for yourself and join along us in this journey, because we're on day 103 of 365 days. So we are in a 1-year program where we are dedicated to renewing our mind, bringing our mind back into reality, man. You could know, like I know, a mind that is undisciplined. I mean, it's allowed to take you anywhere. And so there needs to be some discipline to the mind. It's like we have to discipline children. The mind has to be trained. And so this is a 1-year training in mind reversal, thought reversal. And so from time to time, I like to go back and read the introduction, because it tells the whole story and the whole purpose. And the introduction is found in the first part of the book. And it says, this is a course in miracles. So this is a course. We're taking a course. You guys know what the structure of a course is like. There's material to be studied. There's practices to be practices that we have to complete in order to help reinforce or gain the experience of the content that we're studying. Because the goal here is the experience. The goal here is peace, to experience peace in our life. The goal here is to experience our true self. So in order to do that, there must be an understanding, and the understanding comes through the material, the text of the book, the theory of the book, the ideas that is being sent, that are being put forth here in the content. And so this is a course, and the course is in miracles. So this is a course in miracles, not about miracles. This is not a course in how to perform miracles. This is a course in miracles, which means that the purpose of the course is to bring an understanding and an experience of being miracle-minded. Meaning that, miracles, as the course has so simply explained to us, it's nothing more. Miracles are nothing more than a tiny shift in our perception, a shift in the way that way we think, a shift in the way we were perceived. And it's within that shift that the miracle occurs. Because we have identified that what needs to change is not the world outside of us. But what needs to change is our thinking mind. Because it is our thinking mind that create the world that is outside of us. So we're talking about going to the source of the problem, or going to the cause and not the effect. The world is an effect. The way we think is a cause. So we're not playing around with trying to fix all the different multiple billions of problems, the 10,000 things out in the world. But we're going for the one thing. And that is the mind that projects the world that we see. In other words, if you want to see something different on television, what do you have to do? You have to change what? Change the frequency. And when you change the frequency, you change what you perceive, what you see, what you experience. Likewise, in spirituality, if we want to have a different experience, if we have an experience of fear and doubt and unbelief and lack and scarcity and fear, if our experience is that we feel lonely and separate, unhappy, we don't have peace. If we want to change that experience, we're going to have to change our frequency. And the way you do that in spirituality is you have to have a shift in the way you think. A shift in and a shift in the way you think will affect the way you perceive. And the world that you will begin to see will be a different world. The world that you will begin to experience will be a different world. The person or the reality of who you are will become more clear on that frequency. And so this is a course in miracles. And yes, we do become miracle workers as we embrace the reality of our true identity as a shared self with the one creator. That we are one with the source of all things. Therefore, all things are ours. That there is nothing missing, there's nothing broken within our nature. But within dreams of separation, within fantasies of being separate from our creator, within the illusions of a separated self, within vain imaginings of one becoming two, there is experiences, there is events and activities that will support that point of view, which is totally unreal. And we've played and dabbled in that, most of us, all of our life. But there come a time in our life where we say, there must be a better way. This pain and this suffering that I've experienced, I don't want it anymore. And it is all coming from yourself, where yourself is saying, hey, I'm tired of this dream. Let's wake up from it. And so you find yourself in communities and environment just like this, where you're listening to someone, or you're listening to yourself through self-inquiry, or you're reading a book, or you're just having a walk out in nature, and you begin to see things differently. There become this insatiable urge to know the truth. And thus we call that process awakening or enlightenment, or being born again, or a rebirth, or being saved. It doesn't matter what you call it, but it's the most natural process that will happen to all humanity. In fact, God promises or guarantees that every human being will eventually have the experience of waking up to the reality of who they are and come back home to the place that they never left. And so it's the most natural thing that can happen in a person's life. And when you come to the awareness that God guarantees that it's going to happen in everyone's life. That we don't have to be so concerned about what all of the false images that we see in the world of the killing, stealing, and destroying, starvation, and all of the dark stuff that's out there. All of the things that the world fight about and jockey for position about. We don't have to be concerned about those things. Those things are temporary and will eventually pass away. And only the truth will prevail. So it is in the knowing of these things that we begin to settle down and relax into the peace that we are, the love that we are, the happiness that we are, the joy that we are. We begin to really release all of the weight and the burden that we had laid upon ourselves. They say take all your burdens to the Lord, take all your burdens to God. Well, that's not what we want to do. We just want to release them because God has no place for burdens. God is love. God is light. In him there is no darkness. God knows that all those things are they're not real. So he has no place for them. The only place for unreality is to be released into the nothingness that they are. When we discover the falsity that we have participated in, when we discover all of the self-deception and the lies that has kept us imprisoned, kept us always in a mode of seeking something, seeking more, having to do more, having to give more. All of the rules and the regulations and the laws that man has tried to put us under to control us, when we realize that none of those things are valid in reality, we just walk away from them. Just walk away from them. We just release them. In timelessness and in formlessness, there's no place for those things. There's no place for illusions. And so this is A Course in Miracles. It's a course. And I'm glad that you have made a decision to take this course. I call it Jesus's course. Why? Because it is Jesus, only Jesus, that could put together such a document. And to have these ideas channeled to another human who penned them and put them in a book called A Course in Miracles. And you don't see her name on this book. Why? Because she knows this wasn't her stuff. She don't take credit for it. She just became a willing vessel. She channeled the book, A Course in Miracles, and now it's here for all of us. Only been here since 1977, so it's a young book. It's not a religion. It's not in a religion. It is a tool. It's a helper to help us to give us light. It's a pointer to point us to our true reality. It's only temporary too. Once we wake up to the truth, it's not even needed. It is not an end, just a beginning to point us to our own eternal teacher. And once we finish the course, by the time we finish the course, there should be a greater familiarity with our internal teacher. Religion calls it the Holy Spirit, which is the same as our own spirit. There's no difference between the Holy Spirit and our true spirit. There's only the one spirit, and we all share that one spirit, or that one self, or that one being. Don't get caught up in the languaging. Don't, if it's not said your way or the way you've been trained, just hang in there. It'll make sense. If you grew up studying the Bible or the Quran or Buddhism or whatever, there's hundreds of religions. Regardless of what you grew up studying, that was your beginning. That's where you started, but you don't stop there. If you're a true seeker, eventually you want to there's this desire to continue to grow and expand. Why? Because you're an endless being. You're an infinite being. And so within us is the capacity, as well as the initiative and the desire for more. Why? Because we are more. We're endless beings, infinite beings. So if you're not on your growing edge, if you're not, learning, if you're still stuck in what you've learned 30, 40 years ago, that's the reason for the suffering. To be released from the suffering, is to be open, to allow your nature, which is infinite, to be open for free expression, for complete expression. And thus it's time to break out. Like Paul says, we need to grow up and go on to the more excellent way. We need to leave the elementary things in our training, and we need to grow up and be mature. And that happens through more being open to experience the greater, more part of yourself. And so it's these kind of aids, truly foundation, where advanced teaching is being shared, and that we open ourselves up to these type of resources that's been made available to us, and calling us to a greater, higher awareness of ourselves, that eventually we say yes. We get off the couch and say, yes, I want to know more. I want to be more. I want to express more. I want to share more. And so this is why we're here. And so this is a Course in Miracles. It is a required course. It's required in the sense that what the content of the course is required, in the sense that the ideas that are put forth in this course, most of them are universal ideas, like forgiveness and love and salvation, happiness, joy. These are universal ideas, and but the course would say this is not the only course. This is a course. But there are thousands of other courses, thousands of other paths, and all of them will lead you home. But this is it says, but this is a required course, or the content is required. In other words, in life, there's things that you're going to learn. Even if you have to repeat life over and over again, it is required. The one requirement is for you to finally accept the reality of who you are, to know the truth about yourself, to know thyself. That's kind of like the main objective of the course, of any religion, of any content that provides for growth and expansion. It says only the time that you take this course is voluntary. In other words, you can decide when you learn life lessons. You can decide when you learn life lessons, and in which lifetime you decide to learn them. But I implore you that, hey, if you will get involved with this journey that we're on through A Course in Miracles, that you can learn the lesson in this lifetime. You won't have to come back. It says free will does not mean that you can establish the curriculum. Yes, we all have free will, but we don't get to establish what the curriculum is. We don't get to establish what we have to learn. We don't get to establish the nature of the course. We only get to decide when we decide to take it. That's the free will. It says it means only not that you can elect what you want to take at a given time. It means only that we can decide what we want to take at a given time. In this lifetime, I decided when I was in my early 20s that there was something that I didn't know. And I wanted to know it. I wanted to learn it. I wanted to what? I did not want to be trained anymore by the world. Because I saw where the world was going and I didn't like that. And I knew there was something better. There was another way. There had to be a better way. And it led me to, different experiences. And now I'm a course teacher, course student. I'm still a Bible lover. I have so many great resources around me. But most of all, it's the direct experience that I have in my own life. This integration that I have brought these ideas into a lived experience. That is the substance and the evidence that brought about my conviction. It's the experience of it. It's one thing to know about it, but it's another thing to experience who you are. It's one thing to know about happiness and joy and peace, but it's another thing to experience happiness, joy, and peace. It's one thing to know about the mind of Christ, or the mind of God, or the thoughts of God, or the ways of God. But there's another thing to experience them. That's where the conviction comes. It comes through your accomplishments. And what is the accomplishment? The accomplishment is you become the evidence. You become the substance of things hoped for. The evidence of things not seen. You become the light of the world. You become the signpost pointing all humanity to home, pointing all humanity to center, pointing all humanity to north. You become a vital part of God's plan for salvation. Your very life, and all of us been called to this. This is not for special people. All humanity has been called to this. God is an all-inclusive God. God is an all-encompassing God. Love, the nature of God is love, which is all-encompassing. Meaning what? Nothing missing, nothing broken. Meaning love has forgotten no one. Meaning that love does not operate in the mind of separation, where there's specialness, where there's, levels, and where there's all of the things that we, see in a world that we made based upon separation and differences. Love operates from a place of equality and oneness. And so the course does not aim to teach the meaning of love. That's not the purpose of the course, to teach the meaning of love. It says, for love is beyond what can be taught. Love is beyond what can be taught. The moment we place labels on love, we have limited love. Because love has no limits. And remember, when we talk about love, we talk about God, because God is love. So God and love are synonymous. So if the word God kind of has a resistance that come up in you when you hear the word God, or if there's a resistance that come up in you when you hear the name Jesus or Buddha, or when you hear any other name, Quran, Islam, or Shinto, or any other old traditional religions, if there's a resistance that come up in you just because of the wording of the name, I don't think anyone has any problem with the word love. So just use the word love. It doesn't matter what we call it, because whether we call it one thing or another, it's still the same thing. In fact, the Tao Te Ching says that if it can be named, it's not love. See? If it can be named, it is not love. If it can be named, it's not God. So see, let's lay down all of our traditions just for a moment, just for a minute, and open ourselves up to the nameless. Open ourselves up. Just come with holy open hands unto into love. Which is sharing. Love is about sharing. And the whole idea, but in the course, is that we share the one self, the one being. We share the one life. And that sharing, the experience of that is all called love. That's what true love is. Which what is open to what? Embrace all things, to what? To trust all things, to believe all things, to allow all things to be exactly as they are. And in so doing, what? We transcend all things. Because there's only the one thing. And all other things we can put under the what? Category of experience. But experience changes nothing. It's just an experience. So your incarnation here on the earth is just merely an experience. But there is something that we desire to experience, and that is ourself. And the experience of ourself we call love. Isn't that wonderful? And see, life is not as complicated when it's put that way. When we turn away from what the world has offered us as what? Life and happiness. The dream, the American dream. We turn away from that, which is only disappointment. And open ourselves up, what? Just to love itself. And let it be. And release ourselves from all the burdens of trying to make something and be something and do something. We, for the first time, begin to experience ourselves. And it's such a freedom. It's such what? A weight that's been lifted off of our shoulders. Love says what? Come to me, all ye that are what? Burdened and are heavy laden. And what he said, I will give you rest. Now, I know Jesus said that, but see, some of us might be offended with that name. So we just say love. See, Jesus was just a messenger of love. It's like your life here as a incarnated body is just so a messenger, a communication device to what? To be a messenger of love or a messenger of God. If your message is love. If your message is not love and you're claiming that you are a messenger of God, that's what, in religious world, they call what? A false prophet. See how simple life is? And we have complicated it. We are a master at complicating things. When I say we, I mean when we take a mind that is not a mind of love, and we attempt to build a life around a mind based on separation, it looks like the world we see. A world of greed and separation and anger and anguish. And, so much mental suffering and psychological suffering and, war and fighting and starvation and what, all kinds of what extreme weather patterns that is destructive to the planet and to property and to everything. We see all this stuff happening out here, viruses and all of this stuff. It's a result of humanity turning away from its reality to make a world of itself, to make a life of its own, to make life mean something else other than what it is. To building a world not based on love, which is all there is. And so the Course says, love can't be taught. Why? Because what? Love can't be defined. It says, for that is beyond what can be taught. It says, love can't be taught. But it certainly can and will be experienced by all of us. Ultimately, because that's the will of God. Ultimately, in this lifetime or in whatever lifetime you choose to wake up, love will be experienced. You will finally experience your true self as this innocent, whole, complete, infinite, changeless, unalterable, birthless, deathless. You'll experience yourself because it's beyond learning, but you will experience yourself as timeless and formless, having no opposites, having no beginning and no end. You will experience yourself as the isness that you are. You merely are. God merely is. Love merely is. We will finally release all of the illusions that we sought after on our prodigal journey. We will finally release them completely and whole, only to what? Find the reality of love's presence that was there all the time. And so, as it says here, the aim of the course is not what? To teach love, which is beyond teaching, can't be taught. It says, but it does aim, or the purpose of the course, however, is to remove the blocks. And what are the blocks? Illusions, dreams, imaginings, fantasies. To remove the blocks. These things that we have tried to substitute for reality. So the aim of the course is to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. Because what? Love is all there is, and love is always present. Love is everywhere. Love is omnipresent. And we were all born of love. We are all a part of this one shared love. That's our true nature. It says here, it's our natural inheritance. It is a thing that we are to experience true love. And we're all been looking for love in places that it doesn't exist. So we create something in our mind that called love, and we go to pursue it as though it's out there, or in a relationship, or in a position, or in a job, or in a position of prestige, or in something other than where God placed it. God placed love. Or in other words, God created love like itself, and he called it you. It calls it I am, and that's who you are. So on today, as we go through lesson 103, let today be the day of what? Like the Bible said, let today be the day of what? Your salvation. And salvation is merely what? The promise or the guarantee of God. Let today be the day that what? You accept the reality of the promise of God. That you will return home unchanged by your experience, unchanged by the content of your experience, unchanged by what we attempted to make. That you remain as God created you, as this innocent, holy. Yeah, you are innocent. You are holy, meaning complete and whole. You are infinite. You are timeless. You are birthless. You are deathless. You are formless. You are what love is. So let this day be the beginning of that. It's called the awakening. It's called what? Enlightenment. It's called what? The rebirth, or the new birth, or whatever you want to call it. It just call it what? It's called reality. You have come face to face with yourself. You have come face to face with your reality. And now you know yourself. And that's wonderful. The search is over. You're no longer a seeker. You have found. And Jesus said, or love said, when you have found this thing, what? You give up everything else for it. Why? Because it's the greatest thing, or the only thing there is. He said, you're willing to sell all you have. Give up all the illusions that you ever had about yourself and embrace once and for all that you have found. You have found the thing that you thought you was looking for. And you was it all the time. And so you now what? You transcend all of the illusionary experiences. You transcend all of the hurt and the pain and the sorrow, all of the disappointment and the betrayal. You transcend all of that because you realize it was nothing. That you really couldn't be hurt. You really couldn't be betrayed. You really couldn't be what? You couldn't be lied on. You couldn't be persecuted. That only happens in dreams. That who you are in this moment is who you have always been. You appear here now in the person of love. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? And so, see, that's why I always go back to this introduction, because the introduction always there's thousands of pages in the Course in Miracles between the workbook and the content and all the other stuff. But it's summed up here in the introduction. If you could get the content of the introduction, if you can listen to love, like the song said, love listens. If you can listen to love just for a moment, love will introduce you to love itself, which is you. Love will introduce you. If you would just call its name, call on his name, call on love's name, which is, what is love's name? What is love's name? And it's not that love has a name, because remember, it's the nameless one. But love has a nature. The word name merely means nature. What is the essential? What is the essential or the core? What are the core elements of this being we call love? What's the core elements? Love is love. Love is light. Love is happiness and joy and peace. And we begin to talk about the attributes. And the attributes and what love is are all one and the same. They're not separate things. When you get love, you get everything, because what love is everything. It's all encompassing. There is no opposites to love. There's love and nothing else. So that means that there's you and nothing else. Because what? You were born of love. You were created of love. And what creates? It creates like unto himself. So you are loveliness. You are the loveliness of life. You are the loving self. And you are the lovable one. That's who you are. And you may have never seen yourself like that. You've never been mentored to see yourself like that. Well, I'm here today to tell you that you are love, you are loving, and you are lovable. Yes, you are. So just welcome that. Just rest in that. But to fully embrace it, well, you have to let go of all the illusions that appear to be opposite of what love is. You have to let them go. You can't have two masters. You can't have love as a master and illusions as a master, because you would what? Hate. You would love one and hate the other. Choose you this day what? Who you are. Are you love or are you fear? Those illusions of fear, basically, because they're nothing. Sin and guilt is nothing. The hell they say you were going to is nothing. Those ideas were coming from a mind that was what? That was not speaking or representing or bringing the message of love. So we don't endorse those message. We don't endorse those messages. We understand that the messengers are just a little self-deceived. but they will eventually wake up too. But we don't endorse the message of separation. We remove our endorsement. So it says that the aim of the course, however, to remove the blocks to the awareness that of love's presence. We are love's presence. We are pure love. So when we remove the illusions to the awareness, see, that love is present, all there is love, and say, which is our natural. So it's the most natural transition. It's the most natural experience that you are to have, to go from what? Darkness into light. To go from fear to love. It's a slight shift in your what? A shift in your thinking, which shifts your perception. Everything changes. And nothing happened out there. It's all happened where? Where we were integrated our mind. We brought the prodigal mind back home. The prodigal came back home and gave up what? The mind it made for what? The thoughts in the mind of God, where there's equality, where there's oneness and innocence and wholeness and completeness. And that's for everyone. No one is excluded. So we have forgiven ourselves for believing in the what? Believing in the illusion. We have forgiven ourselves for dreaming of being separate. So we forgive the dream and the dreamer. That's the place or the purpose for forgiveness. And it only happens. It's only useful to a mind that has what? Gone prodigal. If your mind is not gone prodigal, if you are what? You have realigned yourself with the mind of Christ, there's no need for forgiveness. Because you realize there's nothing to forgive. So forgiveness only plays its role in time and space. But when we return home to the timelessness and the formlessness that we are, there's no need for forgiveness. There's no need for salvation. There's nothing to be saved from. There's nothing to be forgiven for. We are in our like Jesus said, we are seated at the right hand in heavenly places. In the oneness, he calls it Christ. The work has been finished. The work has been done. The sleep has awakened. The lost have been found. The unsaved has been saved. And so we now we become this bright light in the world. That's what Jesus meant when he said that's what love meant. When love said you are the light of the world. You who? He's not talking about like me, this made body self. He's talking about love itself. Love is the light of the world, and I am the messenger of love. My life will emanate love. That's why Jesus said, you will know them by their fruit. Do you love everyone? Or is there hatred within you? Then you don't understand. He said, love thy neighbor as thyself. Well, how is yourself? Is yourself separated, or is it reconnected to the one self that God is? What is it? Ask yourself the question. And no judgment here. We're just doing self-inquiry. This is how we find ourselves. We self-inquire. We don't go to the world anymore. We get tired. The world has burdened us. We're now looking within and asking ourselves, what's the deal? And so we just relax. And so it says the opposite of love is fear. Notice now, we said earlier that there is no opposites in love. But in a separated mind, the opposite of love is fear. So it says the opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no opposites. So love is all encompassing, so it has no opposite. So fear is an illusion. It doesn't even exist either. It's unreal. Fear is unreal. And all the things that go with fear are unreal, like anxiety and stress and panic. All of these are feelings and emotions that we experience. Why? Because there is a mind that is thinking that is what it is, prodigal or separate. And so in that state of mind, fear becomes what? Front and center. And this is not even real. So we're making it up. And then we experience it. And because we experience, we say, what? Fear is real. Because we experience destruction, and we experience hunger and thirst, because we experience famine, homelessness, addictive behavior, war and fighting, because we experience extreme weather patterns that destroy homes and possessions and land, because we abuse the earth itself, to abuse the earth with the things that we do to make money, because we build economic systems that's based on greed and separation. We build classes of people, classes of ideas. We do all these things that we make and experience them and think that they're real because we experience them. But that doesn't make them real. What it makes really is for a distraction to what? Our true self. We become distractions. We become distracted by those things, to the point that at some point, what? We get tired of the distraction. We get tired of trying to make something of ourselves that we're not. It becomes exhausting. The world as we know it, and as it wants to what? Tell us that this is the truth, this is the way, this is the life. It becomes what? Tiring and exhausting. And so even the tiring and the exhaustion of the world can serve God's purpose, can serve love's purpose by what? Getting us to a point where we say, what? There's got to be a what? Better way. This ain't working for me. And so, to conclude the introduction, now we're supposed to be doing lesson 103. So to conclude the introduction, in the Course in Miracles, it says that the aim of this course, the aim of the workbook lessons that we're going through, we're on day 103. The aim of it, the purpose of it, is to help us to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. So that's what we do each and every time we come together and we do another lesson. We are removing the layers. We are removing the burdens that we have placed upon ourselves, that which society has placed upon us, that which governments have placed upon us, that which well-meaning religions have placed upon us. In order to what? In order to control us. In order to what? In order to fulfill the purpose of a what? Of a made world that is separate from what? The reality, the real world. And so as we go through this mind training, as we go through this transformation, as we go through this rejuvenation, as we go through this enlightenment, this awareness process, as we go through this awakening, as we go through what each and every lesson, it is an exercise by which what we are removing every illusions that we gave credence to, until we begin to see only light, until we begin to see only love, until we begin to experience the wonder of ourselves as love. And so that's our natural inheritance. We should be what? experiencing love. And in the experience of love, the nature of love, what it shares. Love gives. It shares what it is with everything, with everyone. No exceptions, no prejudices, no biases. Regardless of what history has taught us, regardless of what our past has taught us, when we come to the point of awakening, the past doesn't matter. Remember, we realize it was only experience. It doesn't define us. We don't have to be beholden to it anymore. We realize what is the main thing, and we decided keep the main thing, and the main thing is the main thing is love. And that love will eventually prevail. So we let the world run its course. We don't get discouraged. We're able to look past the destruction and know that it's not the will of God, but the will of God shall prevail. Heaven and earth shall like Jesus said, like love said, let the will of God be on earth as it is in heaven. That's the will of God. Guess what? If you don't see it yet, you will. And you will see it the moment that you wake up. Because you know the difference between the real and the unreal. And so if you know that it's just a dream, and when you wake up from a dream, you don't be sad. You don't be discouraged. You know it's not real. So you give it no credence. We know this world is not real. We give no credence. We just shine our light in it. To so all the other dreamers can wake up. And so the opposite of love is fear. But what is all encompassing can have no fear. What is all encompassing? Love is all encompassing. You are all encompassing. Why? Because you are born of love. 1 John 4 says, everyone that is born of God is born of love. It says what? The opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no fear. But what is all encompassing can have no opposites. For you Bible lovers, and I'm one of those too. I'm gonna give you Bible on it. In 1 John chapter 4, verse 17. Let's go there. Okay, 1 John 4:17. It says, herein is our love made perfect. Herein is our love made. In other words, this is how our love is made perfect, or this is how our love is made mature. This is how the knowing of yourself is made mature. This is how you mature in love. This is how you advance, how you grow in love. He said, herein is our love made mature or made perfect. It says that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. That you and I would have what? Boldness in the day of judgment. Well, what is the day of judgment? This is the day of judgment. This is the day of judgment. And not that we judge anything. The Bible said God is the only judge. But this is a day of judgment where it said that we might have boldness. So in this day, that God is the judge, that love is the judge, that we have boldness. We have confidence. We have assurance. We have a certainty about ourselves. Why? And it says, this is the judgment. He says that we can have boldness in this time of judgment. Why? He said, because as he is, or as love is, or as Christ is, or as God is. It says, because as God is, so are we. As God is, so are we in this world. As God is, how is God? How is love? God is what? God is reality. Love is reality. God is real. God is infinite. God is creator. Love is creator. God is unalterable, unchangeable. Love is unchangeable. Love is timeless. God is timeless. God is formless. Love is formless. So all the attributes that we have spoken about reality, that's how the creator is. So are we. It's just how God is. So are we. God is the glorified supreme being. So are we. So are you. Why? That we all share the same being, the one self. That's how our love is made what? Mature or perfect. When we would welcome and accept the reality that there's only one love, and we're part of that love. And our love is perfect. Our love is mature. And we have boldness in this moment. Why? Because as love is, so are we in the world. It's right here in your Bible and mine. It comes down to what? A knowing of yourself is love. And then verse 18 says, there is no fear in love. Just like we said here. It says, the opposite of love is fear, but what is all encompassing can have no fear. Love is all encompassing, meaning there's nothing outside of love. Love what? Love covers everything. Love covers everything. Even our illusions, love covers it. Even our mistakes, our error, love covers it. Even our illusions, our imaginings, our fantasy of being separate, love covers it. Love consumes the illusions. So it says there is no fear in love. So where's the fear coming from that we seemingly experience? Where is it coming from? It's coming from nowhere. It says there is no love, there is no fear in love, but perfect love. Perfect love. Notice now, perfect meaning what? Mature love, complete love. It says perfect love casteth out fear. So when we embrace the reality of our perfection as love, it casteth out all fear. It dissolves all fear. It says because fear has torment. Fear is tormenting. You know it. I know it. Anxiety, loneliness, all these sensations, all these emotions that we experience, they're tormenting. And they're only an indication that we have become afraid of love. It's an indication that we are focusing on something that is not real. That's all it is. It's an indication when you have these feelings and emotions. And so we just in those moments learn to sit in that, because we know that this is not your inheritance and we know it's not real. So we pause in that moment and refocus on what is real. And love is real, and love is who we are. And you watch what happens to the feelings, the sensations of fear. They will what? They will dissolve into nothingness. They will be dissolved into love, into your loveliness. So perfect love, what casteth out fear, because what fear has torment. And it says, he that what feareth is not made perfect in love. He that what continuously to fear is not made perfect in the love that they are. And so that's why we have a choice of where we put our attention, where we put our focus, what's important to us. Is what the world has to teach us and offer us, is that more important than the reality of who you are as love? And so as we continue to struggle with ourselves and being uncomfortable with ourselves and being motivated by fear, it's only because we continue to put our attention on the illusions of this world and not focus on the reality of who we are. How are we spending our time? What are we studying? What are we pursuing? What's important to us? That's why these lessons are so important. That's why these offerings are so important. They give you and all of us opportunities to remind ourselves of the truth. So here it is right here. So it says, so to conclude the introduction, it says this course can therefore be summed up based on what we just said and what we just taught. It says this course can be summed up very simply in this way. And it's going to make 3 statements. So if we can understand these 3 statements in the introduction to the Course in Miracles, we can understand all the other content that is here, that is present. If we get this, we can basically run with this. So these 3 statements sums up all of the aim of the Course, all the purpose of the Course. So it says, therefore, to sum up what I just went through in the introduction, it says, to conclude, what the Course is saying is that nothing that is real can be threatened. Love is what is real, and it cannot be threatened. It cannot be invaded. A virus can't get in. There is no place in love. There's no gaps in love. Where love has a temporary setback or a temporary failure. It never happens. It never can happen. Why? Because love is real. And love is never threatened. Remember we said that love, what did we say? I had it somewhere. We said that love embraces all things. We said it. We said love embraces all things. Why does love embrace all things? Because love is not threatened. Love can't be hurt. Love can't be overcome. So whatever happens in the experience or the content of experience of our life, love embraces it. Love embraces everything in life. What we think may be good or bad. Love has the capacity to embrace it because it's not threatened. It's not threatened in your own life. As you operate from the place of love, mature love, perfect love, it doesn't matter what arises in your life, what comes or what goes, who comes or who goes. It doesn't matter. We embrace it. Because our love is unconditional. We understand from the point of view of love The only reality is real, and that which appear to be what? Destruction or death or sadness or sickness or disease or anguish or whatever that appear as an experience of that which is not pleasant or pleasurable. Love embraces that too. Love embraces our mistakes, our error. Love embraces our children that seems to be going in a destructive way. Love embraces someone's prejudice. Love embraces someone inequality. Love embraces fear and war. Love embraces death. Love embraces destruction. Love embraces all things. Why? Because it's not threatened. It's not threatened. So when you accept the reality that you are loved, you are never threatened. When they took the body of Christ and what they call crucifixion, and they performed crucifixion on his body, because they weren't performing crucifixion on him, but Jesus knew that he was formless and timeless, and that the body was only a temporary communication device. So he wasn't confused about his identity. So when they came to destroy his body, he allowed perfect love. He allowed perfect love to prevail in that moment. So he did not resist. He did not get angry. He did not judge. He did not project. He wasn't in fear, because he knew the body was only temporary anyway. I mean, his only response was forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing. They think they're killing me. They think they're destroying me. They think that if they get rid of me, if I'm out of the way, the people will come back and people will come back and listen to them. People will come back and worship them. The Pharisees and the Sadducees, see? But Jesus was operating in perfect love. He wasn't confused about who he was. So he wasn't threatened about their offense, their attacks. And so we can have that same experience. And I don't think any of us have been challenged to be crucified in that way. That's an extreme example. We deal with petty things along the way during our day, and we allow them to cause us to be in fear, cause us to be in anguish, cause us to be begin to hate, and to begin to lash out at other people, and begin to try to do an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. Why? Because we believe that we have to defend ourselves. Well, in perfect love, there is no defense. True love is defenselessness. It's defenseless. Why? That which is real, cannot be threatened. So you have to know what is real and what is not. You have to understand the difference between activities and events in our life and experience. You have to be able to separate that from reality of who you are. You have to know that you are the awareness and the consciousness of all of this. And who you are cannot be threatened. Love cannot be threatened. It says love allows all things. Why? Because in the end, only love is present. It allows all things. So we don't have to try to be the police of everything and everyone. We allow it to be what it is. Because if it's temporary, guess what? Tomorrow is going to be different. So why would you try to change it today if tomorrow is going to change again and again and again? So we let it be what it is. We let people we allow people to decide when they want to wake up. So we don't have to feel like we got to go and change anyone or everyone. to proselytize anyone. We got to go save the world. No. Jesus promised, God promised that what? Salvation has come to everyone. The world is already saved. They just need to be what? They need to what? Decide, like it said here. They decide when they decide what? To take the course. We don't decide, they decide. So we don't force anything on people. We just let our light shine, and the light will eventually what? Would draw all men. I see the light itself. What? I'll draw all men unto me. We be the love in the world. We'll what? Draw all men to us. We don't have to go and what? Compel them. Or what? Judge them to hell or death. Like, that's never worked. Why would you use fear to get someone to what? Finally think about coming home? God, in the prodigal son story, God never left home. He waited till what? The son came into himself. That's our example. We just shine the light. The sun will find, every human being would finally. I mean, you look at what's on the planet right now and all the evil you see on the planet. Even those characters that are playing the role as the evil dictator, even those, believe it or not, even those what? And all those in history, even every man will wake up eventually. It may not be in this lifetime. You might have to live another 10, or 12, or 20, or 100 lifetimes. No matter how many, but you will eventually wake up. Everything. Like Jesus said, like love said, all that the Father has given to me, I have lost nothing. So love allows all things. It trusts all things. Why? Because love knows who it is. Love knows who it is. There's nothing outside of it. So that which appear to be what? Winning, or, that which appear to be what? Succeeding. Love doesn't what? Love doesn't get upset about that. Love doesn't get threatened by that. Because ultimately, love will what? Love transcends everything. Love transcends every illusion, every dream, every wild imagining, every fantasy, every false effort to make something out of nothing, to make unreality real. Love will eventually what? Transcend all of that. In other words, all these blocks will eventually be removed and will reveal love's presence, which is the only reality there is. Your oneness with that presence, which is the only reality there is. And so that which is real, what? Cannot be threatened. So who you are, you can't be threatened. Oh yeah, they can, the world can seek to attack you, to convince you that you're not who you say you are, or you're not what the Creator created, the world. That's what temptation is. Temptation is always about your identity. The world try to convince you that you're something else. Even in religious community, they try to convince you, no, God is only God. He's the only one to be worshipped. He's the only one to get all the glory. We're just what? Servants. We're just what? Filthy rags. We're just children. Even after we're saved, they say that. Even after that community say that the people are saved, they still say that. That's temptation. They're laying upon us heavy burdens in the religious community. That's not true. That they're not even what? Adhering to themselves. Only for control. But not even that can threaten love. It says, so nothing real can be threatened. Some conclusion number 2. Nothing unreal exists. Nothing that is unreal exists or have any real existence. Like fear, separation, body identity. Anything that is not real has any true existence. Meaning what? It's only temporary experience. It's a temporary play. It's a temporary, it's like a wave coming to the shore, as though it's separate from the ocean. But what did that wave eventually do? It goes back into the ocean. Why? Because it's not separate from the ocean. Just like a sun ray or a sunbeam that we see in the sun's full glory, which is very difficult to look at with the naked eye. But as we, catch a glimpse, we see the rays of the sun that's just like piercing out from the sun, as though they're separate and individuated, only later to see that the sun and the rays have become this one entity, because there is no separation. So that means that everything in time and space is just a temporary experience or a temporary expression. Eventually it goes back into love, because love is all encompassing. Regardless of what it looked like in the form, whether it looked good or bad, doesn't matter. It's still temporary. Why? Because it doesn't exist. It's unreal. The only thing that is real is love. The only thing is real is God. The only thing is real is you and me and all humanity. Not as separate selves, but shared self. We share the one self, which is love. We share the one being, which is love. He said, when we embrace these two truths, these two realities, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing real exists. He said the result of that is herein lies the peace of God, or the peace of love. Then we begin to have a direct experience of peace, the peace that we all have been looking for. It comes into knowing of ourselves. It comes into knowing of the truth. When we embrace these two truths, which is to love God and to love yourself and your neighbor as yourself. Same thing. That's what these two truths are saying. Jesus said it, that these are the laws. This is the law. This is fulfillment of all the law. This is the fulfillment of love. Love loves. Loves itself. And it loves what it creates. Basically what it's saying. It says, therein lies what? Therein is where the experience of peace lies. So if you desire peace, the real experience of peace, it comes with the welcoming and the acceptation of the fact that you are love itself. You are love itself. And your awareness and consciousness of that. When you become aware and conscious of that, is when you become, it is when you will experience this peace that passes all understanding. It's in the knowing of your true self. It's in the embracing of your reality. It's nowhere else. Can't be found anywhere else. So that's why we will continue these lessons. Share with you that the prodigal mind that seems separate must come home, and it will come home. And it's the most natural thing that can happen. It is your natural inheritance, as the introduction says. So again, love can't be defined. But when we remove all of the things that we were placed over top of it, when we remove those things, then we become aware and conscious of what's been there all the time. We become aware of love's presence. And that is where we rest. That is the place of rest for the people. That is the place of rest for the people of God, or for the people of love. And God has called all of us to this place of rest. All have been called. None has been forgotten. And all will find their way back home. All will find all of us, all humanity will find their way back to love. So once again, I am not going to get to workbook lesson 103 today. I'm going to have to do this in a separate recording for those that are on this journey with me. And so, but I have to, I just felt like I had to say what was said today. And so this is going to be just a bonus recording for everyone to take place in. Yes. So I'm going to end today's this recording with the song that I think would be appropriate. I love songs. I think this song would be appropriate for us to end today's recording and conclude that everyone will find their way back to love. And so thank you so much for being here. And for those that are doing the workbook lessons, this is just a bonus recording, and so I'll do the recording for the lesson 103. But I will publish this out on the social media platforms for all to hear, because I think it's a message for all humanity. Once again, these recordings, these messages are provided by Truly Foundation. And it gives me much pleasure as one of the co-founders to, again, offer these advanced teachings so that you and I can advance mean movement, so that we can move on this upward spiral of becoming more and more conscious and aware of this endless love that we are. The Bible calls it going from glory to glory. So thank you so much for being here. Again, we're going to end out today with this song that I love so much. It's called Finding Our Way Back to You. Thank you so much, and we will see you the next time. All right.
Trying to find a way to escape. Trying to find a way to escape all the pressure I feel growing inside of me, because I'm far away from you, knowing that you are my source, so I gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way back to you, Lord. I've gotta find my way. Darkly, I see no light in front of me. I come to the conclusion that you are the eyes that see past all confusion to a place called sanity. You take my hand, I'm free.